Okay, today's book study was chapters 40 through 55 of Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch. And today we were talking about our soul and good and bad and profane and profound. There were so many topics, but I want to ask Alan or Lisa, which one of you would like to talk about what you thought and what hit you and.
Well, I was talking and it sounded as if you were going to say something.
Well,
then we went on. So I'm interested in whatever you were going to come out with, at that moment.
well, it's kind of interesting. I've been on a spiritual journey for a long time, and Casey knows that I was raised in the Southern Baptist religion, and it was square pegs and round holes as far as I couldn't seem to really quite. I could repeat what the religion was, but in order to embrace it, again, it was square pegs and round holes.
Didn't feel good.
And so one of the things that I think you were talking about is the challenge that we have in order to think about the good things and do good and embrace the love. If I understand what you were trying to do. If you'll express it, then I'll share with you, I think, what I was trying to
Articulate.
At that very juncture, there was discussion about, I don't know exactly where it was, but it had to do with, in order to make this progress, you're going to have to examine every thought, everything that comes to you. And I don't know if he says it, but I did, that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the idea. Gee, that's hard. And how do you figure out once you're looking I mean, can you move or do you just process all the time? That's kind of where I was coming from in my question.
Well, that's why being in the present moment is so important, because our mind can do three things: measure, compare, and describe. That's all it does. And if you want to think it does something else, I challenge you to find something that's not measuring, comparing, describing. But being in the present moment keeps you in the now, and you can't measure something else. You can't describe something from something else. You can't compare something if you're now. And those thoughts that come into us now constantly, that's the only thing we have any control over, is the thoughts that pop in our head. What do we do with them? Do we allow them? I love the train station train station analogy, because, our thoughts can be like freight trains that are coming, and we're standing on the train station. We're standing. Our goal of being in the present moment is to be okay with whatever train wants to come through the station without jumping on that train. Okay? A lot of those trains that pop through our head, aka thoughts, it could be anything. I don't feel good about myself. I don't like myself. I don't this, I don't that, or I'm sick, or whatever is in your head. You can choose to believe it, or you can choose to not identify with it. And when that's the present moment, you have that choice. When we decide to not identify with those thoughts that we feel are bad, and we decide to choose a different thought in that moment, instead of choosing to jump on that train and go to hell with our thoughts. Because one bad thought of I'm having a bad day can lead to all the other reasons why it was a bad day, and before you know it, you've had a bad year. Or you can sit and say, you know what? No, that was something that just happened, and I'm going to choose to think about the good in it. I'm going to choose something else. I'm going to choose a positive statement over getting on this negative train. And when we do that, we can rewire that mind, which is not who we are. It is it only reveals the vibrations that we are.
And how about like our environment, revealing those? In later on, he talks about like the collective conscience.
Absolutely.
So these thoughts can be even picked up.
Mm-hmm. That's, you know, and this is something I've experienced in my life as somebody who has rewired from a complaining, negative, doomsday, worst case scenario, had a shitty day because I got a stoplight. Okay, that's who I used to be, because that's all I knew. That was what I learned from my mother, how to be. When we take a conscious awareness to the thoughts, which are a determination of the vibration that we're in, you will realize, and you consistently choose the good feeling thought over the one that makes you feel like crap. You can keep bringing up that thing that somebody did to you 20 years ago, or you can, you know what, hey, it's a beautiful day. I am so grateful to be alive. I have everything I need. You have that choice in every moment. And the more times you choose to be content and grateful and choose love over fear, doubt, frustration, you begin to rewire your train tracks in your brain to go to the ones that go to good feeling thoughts. And those good feeling thoughts will come more often. And then you will start to notice people in your life changing, leaving. You will notice the gossips leaving your life. You will notice the people that are stressed all the time vacating your area. You will notice so many things change. When you change your thought about something, for example, if you think that people are all crap or people are all out to get me, and that's what you're going to experience, is because that's your belief. We create our reality with the thoughts, words, and actions, because everything starts as a thought, and then we speak it, and then we act on it. And when we do that, you're going to draw more of the same, because every moment that we are here is a new minute to create, a new moment to create. So if the more that we spend thinking about the bad things in life, what we perceive as bad, we will get more of those, because that's what we're focused on. So the more that we can take our brain and realize it's just collecting the vibrations that we've created in the past, and we decide to be a creator of the future in the now. And every time you stop a thought and think about it instead of and shift it, is when we have that control of the present moment, and we can start to have radical change in the future. But as long as we keep, this is my life, this is how people are, people, you know, you can experience the same thing. I get parking spots all the time. He gets green lights all the time. I think people are amazing and that people are full of love, and that's what I see in the world. You can't get me to focus on something bad about somebody, because I've trained my mind to see the good in somebody. But it took conscious effort, and it's so fucking hard. It is the hardest thing to do. They say that if you can control the things you put in your mouth, you can control anything else that you do. And it is so hard if you are trying to change your diet or whatever, And for example, I did 90 days of raw fruits and vegetables a few years ago. And it was, I had a purpose and I had a mission. And for 90 days, I ate fruits and vegetables, raw. I didn't cheat. And we're talking about holidays, because I knew that the benefit way outweighed the bad, what the feel good for the moment would be, you know. When we have that grasp of what we know is going to be amazing, it's worth it. So the same thing with our thoughts. If we can choose the food, we can also choose our thoughts. And when we choose our thoughts and we choose to focus on the ones that make us feel good instead of the ones that make us we start to experience more things to feel good about. Anybody? Speak.
Well, I like what you said about measure,
Compare, describe.
compare,
Describe.
describe.
That's all our brain does. That's all our mind does. It measures, compares, and describes. When I learned that years ago, it was so profound to me, because you think that you're in here doing all that. No, it measures, compares, and describes experiences that you've had in the past. That's all it does. That's all it does. And when you take away the power that you give that, and you choose something different, you choose something better, you choose a different experience rather than the one in the past. Like he was saying, hold on. I wrote like 4 pages of notes. Thought choosing is a choice. And the choices that we choose are on our valued judgments. If you're choosing something, it's because you think you deserve it. You would never choose to go to Nordstrom's and buy a beautiful dress at Nordstrom's if you think you deserve goodwill. Nor will you have the means to buy the Nordstrom clothes if you think you deserve goodwill. You have to know and believe in the things you cannot yet see. That's the definition of faith. Ooh, come on now. You have to believe and feel those things that are good, even if you're in the depths of darkness. But you also have to feel the dark to know the light. And I'm in a place in life where I've been learning what it's like to be content with little money. And I'm doing quite fine. And I'm very grateful. And I'm learning to trust a whole lot more. And I'm been given the opportunity to fall back into the matrix and go get a job, or I can say, no, I trust. I know that I'm not supposed to get a job, because the thought of getting a job makes me vomit in my mouth a little bit. I choose to work for myself. I choose to have the freedom of creating my schedule. And that's the experience I'm having. Yesterday, Lionsgate 8/8. 8/8. It was a powerful day. But the day before, I sat and I allowed myself to feel numb for the day. I sat on this seat all day and watched Suits from the time I got up in the morning to the time I went to bed. And I was okay with that, because it's what I felt like doing. And I wasn't judgmental of myself. I didn't beat myself up over it. I allowed myself to feel. But when I was sitting there, when a thought came into my head, like, no, I am strong, powerful, perfect, whole, lovely, harmonious, and happy. And everything in every way is getting better and better. Well, the next day, was yesterday. I had the best day. I didn't know how I was going to make my bills. I didn't know how I was going to do anything yesterday when I woke up. When I went to bed, I had 3 people call me out of nowhere to help me. They came to me because I don't chase, I attract. They came to me and said, hey, can I prepay you for this thing you're doing next week? 3 different people. All my bills got paid yesterday within a matter of 10 minutes. And I didn't go chase any of it. That's what life's about. If I were to sit there and those thoughts yesterday or day before yesterday came into my head and it was all, woe is me, none of that probably would have happened yesterday because I was focusing on the lack, and whatever we focus on we get more of. But I kept saying, no, this is just a season. This is okay. Everything is as it should be. Everything is perfect. All is well. I have to remind myself all the time. That's why I have words all over my house. Everywhere I go in my home, I can look at something and it brings me back to everything's perfect. Nothing is wrong. Everything is getting me to where I need to be. But I have to go through this first. I have to experience broke before I can experience abundance. But I am abundance. I am nothing but abundance. But see, that's my belief. And it took a long time for me to understand and to get that belief and to realize that I am worthy of everything I want, desire, and I can have any of it. I just need to believe in the things I cannot yet see and feel as if I would already have. To be content in all seasons of life. That's what joy is to be content in every season of life.
Look at it. Into our Lilith.
So our thoughts are the precursor to everything. And when people are depressed, and they live in that, they don't see a way out of it. They identify with it. They speak it. And then their actions are showing what their thoughts are giving them. You know, if you actually believe that you are whole, that you are perfect, that you are strong, that you are powerful, lovely and harmonious and happy, your life will start to be that. But if you think, I'm sick, I'm depressed, I'm broke, guess what? You're going to be sick, depressed, and broke. It's really, that's what life is the culmination of our thoughts, words, and actions. And we all have the choice. We have free will to do whatever. And nothing is good or bad. That's where, this book gets into it so powerfully later on. And life is beautiful. It really is. When you have the right mindset about it. Because your thoughts are creating this reality.
It's a great book. I'm glad you were doing it.
Yes.
Are you reading it, Alan, or
No, this is my first exposure to it.
And you're just listening to it here?
Right. I missed this. This is the 3rd round, and I missed the 2nd one, but I was here for the first.
I believe YouTube has a video of this book. You can listen to it.
Oh, okay.
So if you go in YouTube conversation, I have found so many amazing books on YouTube.
Who reads
Audible.
it? Somebody reads it?
I don't know, don't care. It's an Audible recording of a book for free. Like I found a Abraham Hicks book.
There's a lot out there.
There's just a lot out there.
So when you mentioned Audible, I went to Audible.
Yeah. That's
Got
where I
it
get my
via
books.
Audible.
But when, I was looking for this other book and I didn't have a credit on Audible at the time, and I just typed it in YouTube and the whole Audible book came up for Abraham Hicks, Thinking It Shall Be, or I forget the name of it, but it's in there.
Oh, good to know.
Yes.
Because I wanted to say to Alan, I did get the book and I've been listening to it and listening to it. It's great.
It's
And
profound.
This conversation.
Yes,
Yeah.
the conversations with
It's
God.
profound.
And I feel as if it's like tickling my ears. Oh, it's so nice. It's just good.
It feels good.
It
It feels good to hear what my soul is very discerning, and if something doesn't feel right, it doesn't line up, I'll discard it. All of this feels good. Just like it felt good 20 years ago, even when the things in it contradicted what I was taught in the church. But it doesn't contradict the word. That's the thing. None of this contradicts the word.
When you say the word, you're speaking of
The Bible. None of this contradicts it. It's just a different way to explain it and to dive into it. Jesus spoke in parables for a reason. Because none of this is literal. This was all to show us. And I was taught that the Bible is literal.
At some point, in the book, The Conversations, he did, the author, Neale Donald Walsch, says to God something like, well, it says this in your Bible. And God says, well, you can't believe everything that's in the Bible.
Yes, because man changed it
Right.
to introduce fear. Because what is religion without fear?
That's a good way.
What is the point of religion? To control people. To make you feel like you can do something wrong. But these books are beyond profound in the ways that they challenge things, and I love a good challenge. I love a good, let's talk about it.
Well, I still feel like I cut you off, Alan. Is there something else you were going to?
Well, it's, I think all of this is great mental floss to go into these books. The challenge I had with the square pegs and round holes is whatever truth is, it would have to be a totally different paradigm that in order for you to understand it. And I shared with Casey one day is, what if I could crawl into a spaceship and just leave Earth and go to another planet? And when I walked out, I'm God, and I walked out into the Garden of Eden. What would it be like? And the thing that, as God, would be unconditional love. That was some of the things that was very hard for me to understand from a Southern Baptist perspective, is because they talked about unconditional love, but everything was conditional when it was really boiled down to.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, love thy neighbor as thyself, And so one of the things that's helped me put things in perspective, and they talk about it from time to time, is I was trying to take all the stuff in and kind of go through it, judge it, say, is this good, is this bad, is this good, is this bad, only to come to the final realization, it's the judgment.
That
When
makes it
we
good.
judge, we cannot experience unconditional love. You throw judgment out, is the only way that you can have an opportunity of experiencing unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things, well, how do you do that? How do you live day in and day out? Well, one of the things that we find out is we struggle. I see this all the time. people say, I get upset at this, or so and so forth. And what happens is we continue to place ourselves in an environment as we always have, and then we're walking into this stiff wind that's blowing at us, and we're thinking, how in the world am I going to be able to experience unconditional love? Well, I think the monks kind of had it down pat in the fact that they went on top of a mountain and totally disregarded civilization. And it was just them and God, or them as God. And what happens is, whenever I would watch, Die Hard with a Vengeance and kill 1,000 people, and the next morning I'm upset at everybody. But when you start looking at that, I actually have come to a point, I don't watch any news. What benefit does news have to me?
None.
Because I was friends with a very good friend in Deland, and when you woke up in the morning, he had the news on, and it was, bad this, bad that, and everything. And I went around all day long feeling bad, trying to feel good, when finally I just cut it out and tried to surround myself with people of like-mindedness, at least to get myself on that spaceship and go into the Garden of Eden wherever you can. And one of the things that they're saying is, no matter what, from an old paradigm, we might say, well, that was bad, or this is good. Somebody spoke bad about me, so I'm upset. Reason why I'm upset is not because they said anything about it. I'm upset because I judged it. If you said something to somebody else about me and I never heard it,
You didn't
am
judge
I
it.
going to be upset about it? No. Because I'm not going to judge it. I'm not aware of it. It's the judgment. We are putting ourselves through the very hell. It's us. Nothing's going on out there. If we approach everything by love, whether it be something that from our old paradigm we might say, well, that's bad, or this is good. What he's saying here, there is no bad, there is no good. It's all love, because how can you experience cold if you don't know what heat is? So in joy and gratitude, you take life every day, that everything that comes into, and you judge it from a perspective of love. And we are creators. I try every time I see somebody, and on the way over here, I had to get license plates. And the young lady definitely was taking some very good care in the ways that she was had her hair done. And I commented about it, and she lit up like a Christmas tree. So I created love in that moment.
Amen.
I tried to do that in a checkout line or in passing. I am a creator by choice, because I am Alan God in my own right, because God made me that way. That's one of the things I think he's trying to say. We don't realize we are God, because let's just say, for example, I feel the smoothness of this pillow. How do I do that? Because my fingers are picking it up. How does God have any contact to the physical?
Except
We
through
are
us.
his fingers, if you were. This is Alan. This is Alan. This is Alan. This is God.
This morning in my meditation, I do a meditation with an app called Waking Up.
Okay.
And it's little by little exposing one to just consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is consciousness, maybe unconscious of that texture, I'm conscious of the vision,
Awareness.
aware of the sound.
Mhm.
And then it talks about turn around. Who's experiencing that? What's experiencing that? And who is? What is it? And who am I? but it talked today and said something about, well, let's say you cut your head off, and you're still, those things that are out there are here. It's you. This may not be too transferable information, but it was an experience. And after doing the meditation this morning and feeling the reality of, well, I am the couch. Whatever I'm seeing, I am Casey. Casey's me. I am who are me. It was a sense of the unity, oneness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm kind of saying, oneness. And then just to go to the next little step is I used to do all the time transcendental meditation. And my mantra had in it something along the lines of, which I cannot say, it's a secret, I cannot tell. I won't say what it was, but the idea was that I am. And it was like, oh, I never got it before, that's right. And I was saying to Larry a day or two ago something about, I am myself, that's God's name, I am.
I am.
And Larry said, God is the end of sentence or beginning of everything.
Exactly, I like that.
Absolutely. Well, these bodies, we are not the body. We, as a soul, inhabit this body, and Christianity calls it the Holy Spirit, universe, whatever, lives inside of you. Because for God to experience this beautiful creation and to have these experiences, He's got to have feet on the ground. Got to have things to experience it in or with. Otherwise, it's just God, and there is no up without down. You have to experience the left and the right and the good and the bad, and it all is love. Just like white is all colors, love is all things. And when you are in relationship or when you are just in life, the more that you realize that everything's happening for you, everything is love, everything is a beautiful expression, everything is amazing.
Right now, I'm taking a Course in Miracles, or I'm doing Course in Miracles, and we always open with the introduction, which says the purpose of this course is to show you the blocks to love, so you can experience the awareness of love's presence. And when Alan was talking about judgment, that is the block to love's presence, which is always there.
Absolutely.
And I guess that gal in the store, you could have just passed right by, but
Sure.
no judgment, no thought, just, oh, nice hair. And the love became.
Well, I think he was talking about the thoughts can be expressed in words, and words are expressed in action and everything. So if we're creators, that's how the love comes in as a thought, which we embrace, then we speak it as creators, and then we act on it, we're actually creating. I like the opening, it says that a thought is forever.
A thought is forever. Every thought you've ever had is in the Akashic records.
Yeah.
It's already,
It's all out there.
it's all energy.
So new thoughts I get aren't even new.
No, there's nothing new under the
They're
sun.
forever.
nothing
Somebody
new under
shared
the
it
sun.
with me.
But back to the judgment, we really, everything that we judge, I don't like this, I like that, blah, blah, our likes and dislikes. And Michael Singer's books talked about judgment a lot. But when we let go of that judgment, because, the sins, we don't have sin because we are creator. How can the creator that's experiencing everything and wants to experience the up and the down and the left and the right and the side to side, how can the creator itself experience anything if there's judgment? If one side's better than the other, there is no judgment. There is only what you feel is the next best thing. And whatever you feel is the thing that you should do. It's not good or bad. If you feel you need to quit your job, then quit your job. There's nothing bad about that.
That's what I got from you. Am I
Go
okay?
for
When
it.
you mentioned you have a choice. You have a choice. Because if your thought is, I'm going to quit my job, but it's not a good, I should have security. If you judge yourself and make your choice a bad, I have the choice to say, I'm going to quit my job. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to just give myself some time to breathe and see what that's like. It's all accepting what I'm doing.
Yes.
So
There's
I
no judgment.
experienced this just a little while ago. I got a text from someone with the volunteer job I'm on and asked me a question. And I was sitting here wanting to be a part of this and then thinking, I want to answer it, And then I thought, no, when I answer it, I'll give it time and I'll make a good answer. And I got off myself. I got off my own case. I allowed myself, and those are the victories in my life. It's
Yes.
just to
When
give
we stop
myself peace.
beating ourselves up for doing one thing or the other, when we can eliminate the coulda, woulda, shouldas, that's judgment. Judgment comes in so many different ways, and the word says, judge not, yet ye be judged. So don't judge others, because all you're doing is judging yourself, because the world is a mirror to what we are. If we see the world as a bunch of horrible people, we probably are one of those horrible people. We need to do a little inside looking.
So I want to, if I'm going to give myself the benefit of the doubt, not judge myself. I'm not so worried about judging other people. I'm more looking at get off my
That's
own
all we
case.
have is judging ourselves, and we need to stop.
You know, one of the things that is kind of interesting, I was watching must be noon.
It's time for you.
The Netflix had a deal last night, and it had to do with monogamy.
With
And monogamy, and I think there was a few, maybe a chapter on sexuality
there's-
here.
Oh, there's more coming.
And so one of the things that they were talking about the Indians that are in the rainforest in South America is they're a loving band of people, and that everybody slept with everyone, and so that whenever a child was born, then the mother, who she knew that she had slept with, would give the name of all the men that she had slept with to the child. But all the men were the fathers and all the women were the mothers, so that if a child was crying, they picked it up as their own child, as opposed to saying, hey, Mary, your child's over here screaming, take care of it. It was all love, and they all, and it talks about the
No,
how-
your.
yeah.
It was our.
Yes. Right.
It is.
So it's,
We are, once we realize that we are all one, you know, society these days pits us against each other, has us comparing to each other, and comparison is what? The thief of joy, says the word. Joy is found when you are content with how everything is. And when we stop comparing ourselves to that person or the way, you know, what we should be doing and beating ourselves up, that's not love. That's not loving yourself. You're judging, and God doesn't judge. You'll learn in this book that God is just observing. That's it. Experiencing life.
as we should be observing.
And that's it. We have no need, we just don't need to beat ourselves up, because we're just creating more things to beat ourselves up
Right.
over. And that is so hard for people to understand. And it gets even deeper when you realize that this is just a meat suit. We are not our body. I cannot get people that are not even close to being awake have no concept of that. They're like, I am my mind. I'm thinking it. It's not. You're energy. That's all you are. We are energy and vibration, and that never ends. That is always forever. Your spirit, your essence is the energy. The body dies, but you're still, you could be 70 or you can be 2. I'd rather be 2 personally. Got a lot less contrived ideas as what the world is like. That's why I'm raising my son to know about this stuff. I wish I would have learned this stuff in my teens. Life would be so much different, but I'm grateful that I'm learning it now. I'm grateful I have the ability to teach my son now. I'm grateful that he's having these realizations that his thoughts are creating things. He's had some epiphanies at 15. I'm so grateful for that. I don't judge what I used to be. No, it's part of who I am. I don't judge the past relationships. Those got me to where I am. I don't beat myself up for any of it. Anything I'm going through right now, it is what it is. And it's all for my benefit. And when we get that statement, everything that's happening for you is happening, everything's happening to you is happening for you. And when we grasp that and we get our little thick-headed selves around it, instead of, oh, they did that to me. They didn't do anything to you. Everything that happened to you is for your future benefit. You just might not see it yet. But if you know that it's for your future benefit, you can change your judgment on it, because in the marriage, when that happened wrong, or when this went wrong, or that went wrong, it might look bad in the moment, but aren't you so glad you're not in that anymore? When it's past, hindsight's 20/20. We can only look at our life when we look back at it and say, that happened to happen for this, and that had to happen for this, and all of it was happening for me to be where I am today. And aren't you grateful? Aren't you grateful for not judging yourself, or working on not judging yourself? Which includes loving yourself, and we have to love ourselves first before we can love anybody else. Because we're a mirror. Remember that. We are a mirror. Anything that happens to us that we see is our internal happening. What we believe is what's happening. And when we change our beliefs, mainly with ourselves, and realize that everything's happening for me, everything is beautiful. Because you can't have a picture without the light and the dark, and the left and the right. You have to have all of it. You can't have white without having all the colors.
I like that analogy. I never had thought of it that way. That's true. All the colors are right here in this room, and you can see them through a prism, but it's all white to us.
Mm-hmm. It's just
all colors.
Such a beautiful life that we have, and the opportunities that we have every day. Every moment is an opportunity, a chance to grow, learn, evolve, become, share, and then grow, learn, become, evolve, and then share. Our testimonies are how we help others. Us sharing the things that we've learned and been through helps others get through their dark times. And imagine how if we would all share, instead of being so taught that vulnerability is bad. Oh, we're to be authentic. Authentically us. If we could be authentically us. That I saw the other day that they did a science experiment in some kind of Faraday chamber or something. But you put this person in there. And what they found was the vibration, vibration of love is almost at the top of the scale. But the vibration of authenticity is 400 times the power of love. 400 times the power of love. Being authentic to who you are. That's why it's so important that we do what feels good to us, what we feel is right for us. And it doesn't matter what Tom, Dick, Harry, your mother, your brother, your cousin said, or what they've experienced. That's their life. It's like you never flying again because that one person had a bad experience on a plane. But you've had all good experiences. Would you not fly again because that one friend of yours, I had a bad experience on a plane. I don't recommend flying to anybody. But you love flying. You think it's fantastic. That's your experience. I have experiences at the airport. I never wait. And the ex-husband, his experience as a pilot, he always had to wait. Well, I remember one day he dropped me off. I'll never forget, and I will continue to share this story. He dropped me off to go fly up Christmas somewhere, and he dropped me off, and we were, the regular time, an hour and a half. And I said, that's fine. And he thought, oh, it's going to be horrible. You're going to have a horrible line, blah, blah, blah. There was a line, and it was all the way down the thing. But I kept a good attitude. I kept a positive mindset. And do you know that people all around me were bitching about the line? And I was like, does it help y'all? Does it help you if you're ruining your feeling right here? So I was just staying in that I'm doing good. Do you know a guy with a cart, a baggage guy, came to all the way past 200 people in line? I'm not kidding. It was all the way around the terminal. He came to me and said, hey, do you want to go to the front of the line? I can take your bags. I didn't wait in that line. He took my bags. I skipped that line.
That's a great
is
point.
a powerful belief.
Yeah. Now, let me take that a step further. Do you think we're all going to die?
Our body does.
No.
But our
Yeah, I got a yes
I'm
and a
alive.
no.
No, we don't die. We are eternal.
No.
This meat suit is not eternal.
I maybe died already, but I'm alive now.
But, okay, well, let's talk about the meat suit.
The what suit?
The meat suit, as she said.
I call it a meat suit.
Meat suit. Okay. The tent, whatever, the meat suit. That's good.
You
The
think
thing that is
you
set
think
up-
all the meat
Okay, give
suits
us
are
the
going to die?
inside scoop. What's that?
Absolutely. The meat suits are actually not, there's so much in our human body. This
How do
is,
you know? Have you died?
No.
You probably know somebody that may have, but do you know somebody that has not?
No.
What if we have the ability to take that one step further and embrace the fact that this meat suit is not going to die, and there are writings of people that have what they call transformed.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so the meat suit didn't die. What if we truly can take this step of luggage and going to the front of the line and taking it beyond, if I'm God, can I not embrace a place that I can actually transcend into? How many people have been on this earth? I tell you, I am not convinced that there are not people, even in this room, that the Celestine Prophecies is a narrative, a book about just what I'm talking about. That people have the ability to keep their bodies. They may start vibrating on a different level, but they're still embodied and are still here on earth and still experiencing. And probably there are things about this Mother Earth that we're on the third dimension, that Mother Earth is already on the fifth dimension, in a different dimension. And there are people with bodies that are living and have lived for thousands of years and continue because they are God embodied.
So when you said in this room, not just the ones we might be seeing, just a comment about the book. There is a mention in the book about death.
Oh, okay.
There
Absolutely.
And saying,
This is
why-
all new to me.
in conversations with God, why are you so sad when they die? Because that's really one of the most wonderful times.
It's the most amazing things that can happen to us is release.
Going about the Bible says in the Lord's Prayer, heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a whole nother thing. I have.
I think the reason why people die is believing that they are going to die. The people that believe that they are eternal. Now that's a mindset. Again, we are biased by the paradigm of the well-meaning things handed to us by well-meaning people.
Mm-hmm.
And we buy into it. And it's the buying into that. So therefore, if we have made that judgment, then our suffering is going to die. But if I don't judge that anymore, and I'm only going to experience unconditional love, is unconditional love if this body is somehow or another ascending, if you were.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been taught this Southern Baptist ascension is everybody's going to, at the clap of a hand, everybody's going to go to heaven, and those that are dead are going to be raised in Christ. Who says it's going to be all at once?
It does.
Why have not people been doing this all along?
People are not living in their bodies in underground. That in itself.
What? Living in their bodies.
Well, that's what religion did. It's all when Jesus comes back. Everybody's
Their
going to be
bodies-
raised from the dead.
Their bodies will be reunited with their.
Well, that's.
But we are not our body. But
Yes. What do you call that? The mythology.
yes.
Yeah. So again, the thing is,
Story.
if we want to have a physical embodiment here on earth, then we have got to turn loose and let go of this judgment.
Of a belief, we experience
Now,
nothing but the beliefs that we. So if you change your belief on something, your experience will change.
Absolutely.
When
Exactly. You
Yes.
proved that with the luggage.
Absolutely.
In the front line.
absolutely.
Because you believed it, you wasn't going to buy into what you were told in the car when
No.
being dropped off.
Same thing with
So
the
why
brain.
stop there,
My brain tumor, for example. 8 years ago, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and they wanted to cut it out. They wanted to resect it, dissect me, take out this thing out of my head, chemo, radiation, and a 10 to 15 year life expectancy after they treat me. I went in there, and I had this supernatural peace, and this was over 8 years ago, that I was going to be fine. I don't know how, but I was going to be fine. I had a supernatural healing. I had a sound healing with vibration from an oboe, and I heard that thing disintegrate, pop, and psh, the air let go out of it. I knew from the day it happened that I was going to be fine, and I was fine. But I know people that they get a diagnosis and they just dive into it. They believe it. They become it. And I chose differently. I chose to see what caused it, how I could change that, how I could heal from it. And now everything in life is about healing. Do you know that human beings and whales are the two species that don't have death programmed in their DNA?
Death.
It's not programmed in our DNA.
What does that mean? A mosquito has death programmed.
It's scheduled. It's created to die. It's in the somehow in the DNA. Whales and people are telomeres. If you learn about telomeres, it's like our DNA,
Sure.
and the end of our telomeres has like shoestrings on the end of it, and it's like this, and it keeps it from raveling.
Right.
the things that we do to our body, the foods and the beliefs and all that stuff, the stress, that eats away at the telomeres. And once those telomeres are gone, you're left, it's like cutting this off. This will fray, and it will eventually die. Deteriorate. But as long as we keep these telomeres, that's like our as long as that's still there, they don't have that.
Wait. Keep following my tyranny earlier. I was feeling good.
But I learned that. I was watching that on a show on Gaia. It's a TV network, and blew my mind. And then I saw it somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's true. But when we believe, see, I mean, yours is snoring.
Yeah.
Like my belief, I have people like my mom. She says, I'm not going to live longer than my mom, or people have these beliefs, and then they're shocked when they live past the age that their mom died or whatever. And I'm over here telling my mom, I'm going to live till I'm 120 and I'm going to die in my sleep. That's my belief. I have no doubt that I'm going to die in my sleep when I'm 120. I have no doubt, because that's what I believe. That's what I speak. And that's my experience in life, is I get what I believe and what I speak. So if I believe and I speak this is what's going to happen. Whereas if you have somebody that's got cancer and I'm going to die, they told me I'm going to die in 6 months. You get that belief? Guess what you're going to do? You're going to die in 6 months. But if they gave you that and you said, I'm going to live, I'm going to beat this. There's been so many stories and testimonies of people that went home with a death wish for their disease. They were eat up with cancer, eat up with whatever. And there's this one guy that went home, watched funny movies for a couple months, completely healed. Laughter. Because he knew that it's all good.
Norman Lear.
Yes, but there's so many people like that have experienced not doing what they said because they didn't believe that. No, I'm going to be fine. And same thing with my brain. I love going to the neurologist at Shands and them doing a scan on my brain. And they're like, because I went every year, several times a year, to get my brain scanned. And they always say, you need to do this. It's not changed at all, but you need to do this. You need to do this. And I kept saying, well, I'm going to keep healing. I'm going to keep working on my diet and my thoughts and my words. And when I went in this last time, which was probably 1.5 years ago, she looked at my MRI and she's like, this looks oddly like scar tissue. It's never looked like that before. And I was like, told you I was healed. And then I told her about my experience on the side of a mountain with an oboe.
I want to ask you a question.
And I never went back to that doctor.
So, I know what your mom was like.
Okay.
What happened that made you begin? Was there anything, or was it just that's
Yes.
me? There was something?
With my mom being who she is, or me realizing I don't want to be like her?
Was that it?
Yes.
That's what I kind of
I
wondered.
had
What
an
was it?
epiphany once. I had a friend named Dallas, and she was 10 years, she still is 10 years younger than me, and she and I were going to do something, I don't know, and she took me and I had to meet her mom. And I was like, oh my gosh, you are gorgeous. I said, you're stunning, was the words I used. And Dallas stopped me and she says, Mom, you need to take Casey serious because she doesn't compliment people. That hit me in the heart, and it made me realize I was becoming like my mother, and I did not want to do that. And so at that point is when I started shifting my thoughts. Instead of looking at, I would never be mean. I would never say, I don't like your shoes, or I don't like your hair. I would never say it. It was just what I thought in my mind of people. Mm-hmm. I saw the flaws. I saw the problems. I saw that's the brain that I had been wired.
Judgment.
And yes, judgment. And from that day forward, I was like, you know what? I'm going to intentionally compliment people. And I was a nail tech, so every hour on the hour I had a new person to practice on. And every person that came in from that day forward, I started complimenting them on something. Doesn't matter. It was legit from my heart. But the practice of that habit, because it became a habit, that's all it is. Our actions are just habits. Everything is a habitual thing with us. And I changed my habit and I started rewiring my brain. And now, I guess 12, 13 years later, I don't even know how long ago it's been, I look at people and I don't see their flaws. I don't care if you're 400 pounds. I'm going to find something good about you and tell you. Because that's what I want to focus on, is the good in people. When something horrible happens, I'm going to find the good. If somebody loses their job, I'm like, but you hated it. Is that not good? Do you not feel better? I just have the positive of everything. And now that I've healed from that and I've totally transformed my thoughts, because I don't think negative things about people anymore. I just don't. And my mom still is the same. She sits and watches the news every day, all day. Sister wives and God knows whatever else. And her constant words are things that are bad that have happened in the past, or somebody that's harmed her, or blah, blah, blah. And my response now to her, because I've healed, is that, Mom, I'm not going to go there with you. Let's talk about something else. I've learned to not even engage with her when she does that. And she's learning from me, that's not who I am. You're not gonna bait me into talking about that.
So when was your first realization of a spiritual quest?
I think it's been an evolution. As a little kid, but by quest, it was like conscious. Didn't really happen consciously for me, even though I did a number of things. I was drawn to Hare Krishna, I was drawn to yoga, I was drawn to these things, but I always was kind of, I couldn't let go entirely. And it wasn't until maybe within the last 4 years that I gut level saw that, I guess one could say I was looking for love outside myself instead of inside.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get filled up out there
Looking
somewhere.
for love in
And
all the
that's
wrong
something
places.
else that has changed for me. You know, we have the 5 love languages, and mine used to always be acts of service and words of affirmation, because that's what I always wanted from people. I needed that to feel complete. Now that I am complete and know that I'm whole and perfect, I don't need you to tell me I'm awesome. I know I'm awesome. I don't need somebody to tell me.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's totally awesome, and it feels great, which is why I do that to people, because I compliment people all the time. And it's genuine from my heart. And when I've shifted those things, acts of service, same thing. I love to do things for people. Because that's what I desire from other people, but I had to do it for myself first. I had to love myself first. I had to treat myself with respect first. I had to know that I'm worthy of it all first. And when I do that to myself, and I respect myself, and I treat myself with love and self-care, and do the things that are hard, i.e. working on my thoughts, I start to love myself, and those outside needed validations of love don't matter. You know, with my boyfriend, he's fantastic. But I don't need him to tell me I'm amazing. I don't need him to tell me that he loves me. I know, because he shows me with his actions. Actions speak louder than words, and I don't need those words of affirmation anymore. And I don't need those acts of service. But they're nice, but I don't need them anymore. I don't go, oh, you don't tell me you love me today. I don't need that anymore, because I love myself.
I think the journey then, when I realized I had to fill myself up, was to learn about love more, and like Course in Miracles, and
this book is very good, and listening to YouTube, and in a way reflecting on my own past, and getting my story down, forgiving the kid, the girl, the woman, whatever, not forgiving, but embracing myself.
Yes, forgiveness is something else. Forgiveness is nothing more than your perception that somebody has wronged you. And what is that? Judgment.
Oh, yeah.
So when we stop judging others, the need to forgive is gone as well, because you don't judge them as wrong. Somebody that did something wrong. I got something right now that's going on, and I love this friend dearly. She did something not okay, but it wasn't to me. It has nothing to do with me. It's actually to my mom. My mom's choosing to be bitter and hateful about it, and I'm just like, she did the best she could. I'm not going to judge her for it. My mom's all mad that I'm not judging this person, and I'm like, but I don't want to be judged, so why am I going to judge her for doing the best that she knew how? She's on a journey. She's had a horrible childhood. I have no reason to judge her. She's 10 million times better than she used to be. Did she fuck up? Yeah. Did she do something against my mom? Yeah. But I'm not judging her for that. She did that. That's between her and my mom. And I've told them both, I'm not in the middle of this. I'm not judging her, and I'm not judging you, and leave me out of it. If we would allow ourselves to leave ourselves out of situations that cause judgment or the need to forgive. When you feel like somebody, you need to be sorry for what you did, you're judging them as doing something wrong.
So much of this stuff was like in Al-Anon in the pages, and it says something about that. When you think you have to forgive someone, it's because you've already judged them. But which is what you said.
Let me be judged.
But I'm curious. So, Alan, what would you say would be your inception of?
I had an anger issue, and
That's hard for me to imagine him being an angry man.
It was. First off, it was a sobering experience whenever the universe revealed that to me, and so I started out on that journey forgiving others. Okay, only to learn is the forgiveness wasn't for them; the forgiveness was for me, and so. And that allowed me to turn loose and let go of the things that I had judged and put no judgment on it. And so therefore, there's no reason for me to forgive them anymore, and no reason for me to forgive, because it's all benign. It's all been returned back into the universe as love. And I do believe that we have part of our creative powers to embrace the things that are less than love. And through our loving and being united with our Creator as one, that we can actually return that back into the loving universe.
But prior.
Yeah.
Was there like a moment or something, like you were so angry at a child or this or that you suddenly realized I'm going to change?
Did you have a defining moment?
A defining moment?
Like my
The
defining
defining
moment.
moment was whenever I got out from under the stimulus. I had my own business, and I was in a lot of different relationships, and it was I was upset about everything. So when I sold my company, moved to St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, I was taking yoga. There was a lady that was doing yoga. Mm-hmm. And the spirituality of it all allowed me to let go of all the noise and the hate and everything, and a little bit of exposure to meditation. And that's kind of, I did that in about back in 2011. And it's been a journey like that ever since. So yes, if I were to draw a line in the sand, it'd probably be around 2011 that I started meditating and getting feedback of why I was feeling so bad and upset. And, you know, people would cut me off on the freeway, and, you know, next thing I know, I'm doing my own little road rage. I never pulled a gun on anybody. I've had a lot of people want to pull a gun. I tell you a funny story. I used to stimulate people to a lot of anger, and I've had a wonderful opportunity, Tricia, as I did my rock painting and everything. She got my rock. She's a real appreciative. And I don't know why that woman would put up with me, some of the things that I do. But when I went to Dallas, she said, "Do you remember when I threw that can opener?" I said, "Did you throw a can opener at me?" She said, "No, I was so pissed off at you. I threw the can opener down the hallway because I was so mad and upset at you." And she told me what it was. I don't remember what it is. And but all of that's dissolved, and I think it has to do with me, you know, taking that spiritual initiative to start embracing love instead of. I guess there is no hate. There's just the absence, or the big absence of love. So.
I want to hear from you. You've been over there being silent, and this is a discussion, and I want to hear something from you.
Okay. This group is not for me.
Okay.
That's
That's
what
a
I got
good
to
answer.
say.
Okay. That's perfectly fine. Then you being quiet is perfectly fine, because anytime something comes against our core beliefs, it's always because anytime the first time you hear something, it's going to go against your beliefs. But then your spirit starts speaking and things start happening to show you, maybe, because things are going to start opening now. You know, for example, my boyfriend doesn't believe that everything's energy. Well, science says it is. Everything is vibration, atoms, every single thing. They used to think that atoms were the smallest particle, and that was the law. Now they realize that everything is smaller than an atom. There's parts in an atom. There's space in an atom. That space is moving. Everything is moving. Everything is vibrating. Everything is energy. Everything is light. Down to every cell of our body is light. And I could tell that to my boyfriend, and he's like, "Nope, not." And I'm like, "Okay, you can believe that."
The wonderful thing about it is there's no right, no, there's no wrong.
No, whatever he believes is true for him.
Yeah.
And as he grows,
and you have to embrace that for
yeah.
people's
And
choice.
I love him where he's at. I love
He probably
him.
loves you for where you're at too.
He does, but he thinks I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But that's
we
okay.
know he's crazy.
But I love him, and I love him where he's at, and he is actually is something that I'm learning to
Excuse me, I'm going to take a quick break here.
not be judgmental about, and not be upset at him for where he is spiritually.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
I think we're probably going to be going. It's about 12:30 on my